Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushak, choose what really matters.
Which brings us to Pakistan, giving the Taliban legitimacy. Remember the time when Imran Khan said that Germany and Japan shared borders? Or the time when he called Africa a country? Or that instance when he attributed a quote by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore to the famous Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran? These are all gems from the Pakistani Prime Minister. He has a habit of creating his own history and geography. Now he's also given us a glimpse of his expertise in anthropology. In a recent interview, Prime Minister Khan expressed disdain for American ignorance and then went on to invent a new Pashtun tribe. He said, and I'm quoting, "The Haqqanis are a Pashtun tribe living in Afghanistan. They were mujahideen who were fighting the Soviets, and that they were born in a Pakistani refugee camp." The Haqqanis are a Pashtun tribe since when? Last we checked, they were a terror outfit named after the Darul Uloom Haqqaniya, a Deobandi seminary in Pakistan, not a refugee camp. And the seminary is named after Maulana Samiul Haq. It's an Ivy League college of sorts for jihadists, the seminary. Jalaluddin was one of its first graduates. He added Haqqani to his surname as a tribute to the seminary and formed the Haqqani network. Jalaluddin Haqqani belonged to the Zadran clan of Pashtuns, as do most of the Haqqani network's operatives today. The Haqqanis are not a Pashtun tribe, at least not in this universe. And just so you understand it correctly, the statement came from Imran Khan, who is a Pashtun himself, by the way, from the Niazi tribe. What sort of a hit wicket was this? And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Imran Khan decided to address accusations about Pakistan's support to the Taliban. He said, and I quote, "The total budget of Pakistan is $50 billion for 220 million people. Do we have the capacity to fund another war when we can barely meet our own expenses?" In other words, what he meant was that Pakistan couldn't have supported the Taliban because it is broke. For a lay Westerner, the statement may seem like the gospel truth. Pakistan is a poor country after all, struggling to make ends meet. Only that it indulges in cost-cutting to fund seminaries that nurture terrorists. Look at this 2019 headline from Dawn. When the PTI-led Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government diverted 30 million rupees, meant for higher secondary schools, to fund the Darul Uloom Haqqaniya, the same seminary, and this is from their domestic budget. Then they get foreign aid. Since 2002, the United States has given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid to combat terrorism and insurgency. This is according to data by the US State Department. Where did all of this money go? To terror networks, which Imran Khan thinks are harmless Pashtun tribes. And this is just the state support we're talking about. Ever since the Taliban re-emerged, public donations to these terrorists have soared, and how? Local community mosques in Quetta and Peshawar have been organizing fundraisers for the Taliban. Traders, shopkeepers, clerics, they're all donating as much as $70 every Friday. And Imran Khan says Pakistan doesn't have the capacity to fund the Taliban. This is a bunch of lies. But we'll come back to the interview. The Pakistani Prime Minister had another request for world leaders. He said, and listen to this carefully, instead of sitting and thinking that we can control them, the world should incentivize Afghanistan and provide some more time to the Taliban to form a legitimate government and make good on their promises such as women's rights. Give them incentives, he says. Give them time. Just like they gave incentives to Pakistan. Also, Imran Khan speaks as if Pakistan's own record on women's rights is flawless. I'll show you something. This video of 400 Pakistani men groping, assaulting, tearing the clothes of one woman in broad daylight. This happened on the 14th of August this year, 2021, Pakistan's Independence Day. Imran Khan talks about women's rights in Afghanistan. The Taliban are not interested in women's rights or in forming an inclusive government. The best case scenario is them being less abominable than before. And we can't even be sure of that, given the kind of policies they're already implementing to restrict the role of women in almost every field. The best incentive will be to tell them that they'll be cut off from the rest of the world if they don't mend their ways. As for Imran Khan, perhaps he needs to be incentivized to quit politics and to stop talking about subjects that he has no knowledge of. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushaq, choose what really matters.